Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Well, hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and I am joined tonight by, that's right, he's the biggest free agent on the market, and we signed him, Mr. Trey Callis. How's it going tonight, my man?
Oh, man, it feels like I'm coming out of retirement. I took a month off of hiatus, and I haven't been able to talk sports to refresh my mind just in time for NBA playoffs. I'm happy to be on this Coast to Coast network. It is not only sports, man, and that's why I love it, because you bring everything to the table. You bring movies, you bring entertainment, you bring trivia, you bring everything that everyone, cooking shows, everything that my wife, my daughter, anyone in the family can enjoy. To come enjoy. That's why I came and joined, and plus how to follow you and the great shows that you do on Sportsman and everything else. So I'm happy to be here. I'm ready to talk some basketball, man. I'm pumped. You might have to turn me off at the last segment later on. Stay tuned for that, guys. But I'm excited to be here.
I can already tell you that final segment that's on there, it's going to get heated, and I know it's going to get heated. I know, Trey, you have a lot to say about it. And so this is going to be the very first episode of Speak Out. That's right, Speak Out with myself and Trey. So I hope you guys are ready for a fantastic show, because it's going to get heated up in here at times. I know it's going to. So let's go ahead and let's jump into that first topic. And of course, everybody knows that tonight is all NBA. That's what it's about. So, Mr. Trey, our first topic tonight is, as you know, that the LA Clippers are in that 0-2 hole. Okay, everybody has come out, has already said, you know, every time the Clippers make the playoffs, they always end up choking in the playoffs. That's always been the big thing with the Clippers. So I'm going to go ahead and let you lead off with this and tell me, can the Clippers overcome this? And if they can't, what is going wrong? What is exactly wrong with the Clippers?
Well, to answer your question, you're right. The Clippers always choke. And I thought when Kawhi Leonard was going to join that Clippers team with Paul George, and now they have Ty Lue as their head coach, I thought for sure that this year would be the year they make it to the Western Conference Finals, just because they have another year under their belt. They can, as a team, then they brought a playoff Rajon Rondo in as well. I thought they would, but Ty Lue is doing a terrible job in this series of coaching. He's getting out-coached by Rick Carlisle. Let's just call it what it is. You brought Rajon Rondo, playoff Rajon Rondo, who single-handedly helped the Lakers win that title last year in playoff. We all saw how good he was. And he's sitting on the bench. Reggie Jackson's getting more minutes than Rajon Rondo. Now, can they overcome this? Yeah, they can easily overcome him. But will they? No, because because you got to be careful what you wish for, right? They didn't want to play the Lakers in the second round. Well, guess what? You're not even going to get to the second round, because you got Luka Doncic put y'all on notice last year in the bubble. And this year, he's putting y'all are gone now, because now you have a healthy Kristaps Porzingis. You have other shooters on the court that can help you, Luka, make threes, deep threes. And then Rick Carlisle's coaching. Remember, he was 2011 NBA champion for a reason. That guy is a hell of a coach. He is one of the best coaches there are out there. If it wasn't for Mark Cuban and his stupidity in this, they could easily win back-to-back championships in 2011, 2012 as well. But, he wanted to save money. But that's a story for a different day. But what I'm saying is, with Kawhi Leonard, I'm not going to downgrade anything. I think that they still have a chance. Game 3, of course, Game 3 is a must win. But Kawhi has no help. Yeah, Paul George scored 23 points, 27 some points in the help, but he's 1 for 5 on the 3-point line. He chokes when the game matters. Kawhi Leonard is gas at the end of the game. He can't guard Luka and score over 40 points every single game. Luka he's 22 years old, and he's showing everyone why he's going to be the face of the NBA once LeBron James is finally out of this league. Thank God. But Luka Doncic is the future. Rick Carlisle, this team is clicking on all cylinders. They're the better team. Remember, the Dallas Mavericks, just because they're the fifth seed, because they got hit with the injury bug, COVID, everything else that's going on around the world. They got hit the hardest throughout the regular season, and somehow they got better at the end of the season, and now you're starting to see it. And yet you put a little grease to the fire with oh, we didn't want to play. We want to play the Mavericks instead of the Lakers. Well, guess what? Now you're fixing to get swept if everything doesn't go your way. Now, what I think is going to happen, I think the Clippers are actually going to win Game 3, and then the Mavericks are going to win Game 4, and I think the Mavericks are going to win 6 games. But right now, I just think Luka is a beast. There's no way you can stop him. He goes at his own pace, especially when he's hitting the 3-point shot like he is. There's no stopping Luka Doncic. I mean, that guy, and then Kristaps Porzingis, because shooting a 3 the way he is and playing defense the way he is, blocking shot. I mean, my God, if he can stop Paul George, and that's a smart aleck comment, because he didn't. When Paul George was 1-on-1 with him, he stopped and shot a 3 instead of driving into the lane when everyone knew they should have drove to the lane when the Clippers were right there. But the Mavericks are just. I just think they're a better team. I think Kawhi Leonard's regretting signing with the Clippers. I think that it was a stupid – I think he probably should have joined LeBron James. Yeah, he might have took slack and everything like that. But with AD and LeBron, the pressure would have been off him, and now he's going to get pressured by the media and everything else because he came to the Clippers trying to get a chance. Now they're not going to make it to the Western Conference Final. Talk about a team that's never going to make it to the Western Conference Finals, and that's the Clippers. But I just think the Dallas Mavericks are a lot better team than what the Clippers are right now.
So – to kind of bounce off what you were saying, the one thing that I really didn't like, that I understand that they call him playoff Rondo. Okay, I completely understand that. But Lou Williams, okay, I really like Lou Williams.
I do too.
I like him. Personally, myself, for some reason, I like Lou Williams better than I do Rondo. And so I personally would have kept Rondo. Now, that could be up for debate. You know, you might like Rondo a little bit better than Lou Williams, but Lou Williams has been voted 6th man of the year multiple times. Like he's that guy your veteran presence. He comes in off the bench. And the one thing that I always think about Lou Williams when he comes in off the bench, three, because that's what he does. That's Lou Williams. Now, when you look at the Clippers, the thing that gets me the most is I was actually expecting this Clippers team to be a lot better than what they were. But this team is regular season good. They're not playoff good. And it's like Rondo is playoff Rondo. Paul George is not so playoff Paul George. He's not. When he hits the playoffs, he chokes in the playoffs. That's what Paul George does.
Well, yes and no. I mean, when he was in Indiana and gave LeBron James hell for those series when LeBron was going with the Cleveland or Miami.
One season. That's it.
Well, there was probably 2, but after that, I mean, you're right. I mean, I agree with you 100%. So go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a comment that says Clippers have so many holes and have no identity.
That's right.
I mean, it's really true. Now, I understand why they have Patrick Beverley, but the problem with Patrick Beverley, though, is that he's not a scorer. He just plays defense. And so technically right now, in your starting 5, you have 2 guys who score. You have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. That's pretty much it. Other than that, and it's like you said, I guess you can kind of consider Kawhi Leonard having a little bit of help with Paul George, but because of how he plays in the playoffs, which is not very good, you still can't consider that Kawhi Leonard has help because you cannot rely on Patrick Beverley to get you a lot of points. Now, the big talk was when this big 3, so to say, got put together, they said that the Clippers were going to be the best defensive team in basketball because of Beverley, because of Kawhi, because of Paul George. You have 3 of the top defenders in basketball that the Clippers were supposed to be so good on the defensive side of the ball, but then it comes around to playoff times and they can't stop the Mavericks. They can't stop them. But that is because Luka is an absolute beast, okay? So when people are talking about the up-and-coming face of the NBA, Luka could be the guy. Like, there's no denying.
He is the guy. What are you talking about?
Well, hold on. Well, because we have a few more guys that we still have to discuss here that are still young, that are up-and-comers. Okay. And you can definitely look at Luka and be like, yeah, he's definitely going to be up there. And Porzingis, great duo with Luka. Great duo. Now, do I think they can make the finals? No, I don't think the Mavs can. I don't think they can make the finals. I don't think they'll make the finals. I don't think they will.
So wait. The way the Western Conference, there's no dominant team this year, right?
No,
okay. So you have the Suns and the Lakers right now. Lakers are probably going to win that series just because of the Chris Paul effect and injury and everything like that. You really have the Jazz at the number 1 seed, who might not even get past Memphis. So in that,
Debatable.
even if the Jazz do win on, you're telling me the Dallas Mavericks can't win 4 games out of the Utah Jazz?
No, they can beat the Utah Jazz. I think they can. But
the only team I think that the Mavericks need to be worried about is the Lakers, just because of their defense. That's it. But I think they can make a playoff. They can make the finals. Do I believe they will? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
It's so tough right now. Okay, it's so tough because I know the Mavs are a good team. They have actually come out in these playoffs and they've actually really impressed me. I really did, because I know that the Clippers kind of avoided the Lakers because they didn't want to play them, and it's like you said, be careful what you wish for. That's the biggest thing. The Clippers didn't want to play the Lakers. Now they're playing the Mavs, and the Mavs are taking it to them. Do I think at this point in time that the Clippers are going to be able to come back and beat the Mavericks? Absolutely not. Are they going to get swept? I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they'll get 1 game in there. I think they will. I think that the series will end in 5. I think the Clippers will win 1, and after that, it's done. That is it. And then once this Clippers team loses again, what you're going to end up seeing is this Clippers team basically being dissected. Pretty much is what's going to happen. I don't think Kawhi won't be there. I don't think you'll see Paul George there anymore. So Mavs are a 3rd star away from being the best team in the West. Already have a superstar, have an athletic big, great supporting cast, top tier, just missing. And that is the biggest thing. So right now, people can come out and talk about, the Lakers and their big 3, the Nets and their big 3, because that's what's going on more common in the NBA now. You have to build a big 3 in order to really make it anywhere. And right now, that's the one thing that the Mavs are lacking, is that 3rd.
Right. I agree with you on the majority of the time. You need that big 3 now, right? You need that
Absolutely.
big 3, or you at least need 2. You at least need 2 superstars,
because you're getting those superstar teams now. That's what you're doing.
Okay. Right. But when LeBron James had that super team in Miami, right? And they had the Dallas Mavericks, they had a Dirk Nowitzki. They didn't have another superstar on that team.
No, that was kind of a Cinderella story.
But what I'm getting at is Rick Carlisle is a hell of a coach in the postseason. Let's not get that twist. And that's why I have trust in Rick. Rick Carlisle can push all over. He's a good in-game adjuster. He's a good in-series adjuster as well. I'm not putting him – he's a hell of – that's why I was so pissed off at Mark Cuban. But that's what I'm getting at right now, is that Rick with a team that can do it without 3 superstars is Rick Carlisle and Dallas Mavericks, because he's done it before with a older Dirk Nowitzki team against a 3-headed monster in LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. That's my only point.
I feel you. Luka. So Luka is a young guy, and so here's the thing, because Luka doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. So my thing is, when it comes to the bigger games, would you feel confident enough in Luka in the bigger games when it comes to the bigger ones?
If they make it to the Western Conference Finals, right? If they play the Lakers, no, I won't have confidence because of that. But if they play the Suns, they don't have any confidence either. The Jazz don't have confidence. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're all like, none of these teams really scare me except for the Lakers when they're clicking on the defensive side. That's the only team that scares me with the Dallas Mavericks. The Utah Jazz, they blew a 3-1 series lead last year. If it wasn't for Ja Morant, he's going to go off this series. No, they can't already prove they can't stop Ja Morant. So I just no teams, if they get past the Clippers, I think that's their hardest hurdle until the Western Conference Finals, if they make it that far. That's where that's where I believe that they're going to have a stumbling block. But I do agree with you. But your case would be right. But this league is so young, talented wise in the West. I mean, let's call it what it is. They're just so young. Like Devin Booker has no playoff experience. Mitchell has some playoff experience, but his team's really. I just don't trust the Jazz until I see it. That's just the way. I mean, they blew a 3-1 series lead last year against Murray, and then the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets also scare me, but without Jamal Murray there as well,
they don't.
They don't scare me at all. And then Portland Portland's another team. They can get hot, but I don't know if they can get past the Nuggets right now. I just don't. That's enough in a series for me. It all depends on C.J. McCollum, but that's the only team. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers and the Lakers are the only teams that have experience besides the Clippers. But the Clippers have proven they can't choke, and that's where we're getting at. And I think that the Dallas Mavericks, because you're right. Luka doesn't have playoff experience, but you know what he does have? He has professional experience in the European League. And he might not say much, but that's what's making him a great star he is today, how mature he is right now because he's 22 years old. But remember, he's also been pro in the European League since he was 15 years old. So that's why I kind of disagree with you a little bit on that. But I see your point, but the West is just all wide open this year, man. Like, I can't pick you a winner.
So basically right now what it is since we started out with the Clippers and we kind of rolled away from that just a little bit, but you know what? That's okay because it's NBA talk, so it's fine. But the thing is that no, the Clippers will not be able to dig out of this 0-2 hole. And I think that's your answer too. Is that correct, Trey? That you don't see them being able to dig out of this 0-2 hole?
I could see the Clippers win this next game just for pride reasons. But as I say that, they're going to Dallas instead of going home after going down 0-2. And that I think Dallas has a sellout of fans, and that place is going to be rocking. So they might sweep them, dude. They might sweep them. I'm calling a sweep.
So we also have another comment here from Rudy that a lot of the points he's making is kind of a lot of the points that Trey, you and I have discussed. The Jazz are a false hope team. The Nuggets need Murray. They absolutely do, because right now the Nuggets basically just have the Joker and Jokic. That's pretty much it. And so they have to kind of ride on what he does. And without Murray, they don't have enough. They just do not have enough to overcome these really good teams. And right. Suns, no, they cannot make it to the finals without CP3. Chris Paul's going to have to be completely healthy in order for the Suns to make the finals. There's no question about that. Dame, he cannot carry Portland. He needs CJ McCollum to definitely step up to help him out. And the West is wide open. And yes, the Lakers are vulnerable unless the refs can bail them out. So
you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
But I've never seen anything like it, but we all know that right now the Lakers and Suns are playing, and this is going to be a big game. Tonight is going to be a big game. I think if the Suns lose tonight, I think it's over. But if they can pull out the victory, I think the Suns have a shot. Because as the days go on, Chris Paul's going to get healthier. As the days go on, he's going to get healthier. And so if the Suns can pull off the victory, they'll be there.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So now we'll jump into our second topic of the night. So our second topic is, speaking of the Suns and speaking of young stars in the league. That's right. We have Mr. Devin Booker. So with Devin Booker, Trey, to you, is Devin Booker a top 10 player in the league? And if you say he's a top 10 player, is he top 5?
It's hard. I hate this question. Top 10, yes. Top 5, no.
Ooh, you're not ready to put him in top 5 yet, huh?
No, top 5. I mean, you got to put. You got to put Luka. You got to put Anthony Davis in there. You got to put Steph Curry still in there. You got to put. Dang.
Yeah,
I'm not stuck. I was trying to do it in order.
Okay. How about Dame?
Kawhi Leonard's better. Dame's probably top 6.
Kevin Durant.
There's Kevin Durant. James Harden.
Kyrie.
Leonard, Kyrie Irving. Joel Embiid. Booker's maybe on the Tater scale of number 10.
There's Jason Tatum. So when you look at that, it's close. I mean, it is close. Do I think he's top 10? I truly believe that Devin Booker's top 10. I feel like he is a top 10 player in the league, and he's going to only get better as time goes on. Now, does Devin Booker need help? Well, absolutely, because if you look at the Suns now, compared to what they were last year. What they do? They went out and got a Chris Paul. I'll tell you what, that was a magnificent pickup, because with Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and just think, with Jay Crowder, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. Now, here's the interesting thing when you think about the Suns and Devin Booker. Okay, so when I thought about Devin Booker, I thought that Devin Booker was going to be the best three-point shooter on the team. But that's actually false. Do you actually know who led the Suns this year in three-point average and shots?
Chris Paul.
It was not Chris Paul. The person who actually led the Suns this year in three-point percentage and three-pointers was actually Crowder. It was Crowder, which actually shocked me. I did not know that. I seriously thought it was Devin Booker. But how far away do you think Devin Booker is from being a top 5 player in this league?
3. I think 3. Possibly 2. He's only going to get better. He already has a 72 point game on his career record. He's third on the. That's only 9 shy of what Kobe had. The guy can flat out score. He needs to work on his defensive skills a little bit more. He needs to learn how to be a leader in that aspect and everything. He's already kind of a leader, but he just needs to be a better leader, and that's only going to get better with maturity and everything. He's still a young pup. I think easily, if he keeps going the way, remember before Chris Paul got there, before they did that, they went to Orlando in that play-in tournament. Mm-hmm. He carried that set. They didn't lose. They didn't lose at all in that bubble, and they still didn't get in because of a tiebreaker crappy thing. I don't understand all that, but I think they should have been in over the Memphis Grizzlies, but that's just whatever I think. But Devin Booker's already proven that he can do these little things. It's just being it consistently. Being that 30 point per game, 28 to 30 point per game score, adding to your assist totals a little bit. And of course, with the Phoenix Suns and the general manager group that they have, right, the ownership group that they have, the head coach that they have right now, who's a hell of a head coach, he's probably going to win Head Coach of the Year award this year. He's only going to get better with this group right here, and with Chris Paul leading the way probably for another year or so, and then he's going to arrive. I think this year getting the playoffs, I think it's a leap, and I think 2 years. You're going to see a lot, because all the other stars are kind of aging a little bit, right? Like Steph Curry's aging. Mm-hmm. LeBron James is probably not even going to be a factor anymore. Kawhi Leonard, we already saw it. James Harden can't stay healthy. He's getting older. Kevin Durant, he's going to be 35 in a couple years. So that with them getting older and then him getting younger and getting more experience up the ladder, I think for sure in the next 2 or 3 years, he's probably going to be top. He's going to be top 5 in this league. Maybe not top 3.
All right. So looks like we're kind of on the same page there. We both have Devin Booker in the top 10, but we do not have him in the top 5. So now we can jump into our next topic of the evening. When we talk about the NBA, okay, one big thing that we talk about is people are talking about the Brooklyn Nets, and they're talking about how good this Brooklyn Nets team is. Now, people have come out multiple times, and this year, last year, the year before, people talk about how James Harden chokes in the playoffs, okay? But you have Kevin Durant, who has multiple rings. You have Kyrie Irving, who has multiple rings. Now you're putting all three of them together. So with this team that you see and the stacked Nets team, is the Nets team going to be good enough this year to win the championship?
Yeah, they're my pick. Honestly, they are. And what really sucks, and I feel more confident in that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers won or someone from the West won because of the defensive wise. But my only thing with the Brooklyn Nets, can they play defense? And I know they're playing the Boston Celtics. They're without Jaylen Brown, and then Tatum's carrying that team, and that team's been a mess all year because of COVID injuries, blah, 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 stuff like that. And they're going to blow up a lot of that, the Celtics team after the season's over, probably in the next couple of days when their season's officially done. But with I think it kind of sucks because if Jaylen Brown played in this series, I can see the Nets actually going 6 games with the Celtics. But it's going to be a sweep. The Celtics have nothing. So I really can't give you that the Brooklyn Nets are the best team in the East, but from my eyes. And the 3 superstars have only played 8 games, probably 9 games total together right now. And those 9, and they're learning on the fly, and they're learning like that. I don't care. They're playing ball. who's going to stop this team? You can't double team any of those three guys. And if you do, you're going to leave all five starters can shoot and score when we have Blake Griffin, who's an excellent passer as well, by the way. He's not going to be the dunker that he used to be. But, I mean, you can't leave Joe Harris wide open. He's the leading NBA three-point leading percentage-wise this year. You can't leave Kevin Durant open. You can't leave Kyrie Irving open. You can't leave James Harden. And their defense is only getting – and I'm saying that. I know they're playing the Boston Celtics. I know this team's washed up and everything this year. I just don't see how you're going to stop them. I know it's playoff basketball. I know defense wins. But I just don't see any bunch, and there's no way you can stop them because if Kyrie Irving has a bad night, guess who's here to help me out? Kevin Durant. If both of them are having bad nights somehow on the same night, James Harden's right there. He can get to the foul line 22 times. And if all three of them are having bad nights, we'll just find Joe Harris on the side. And then we have Shannon coming off the bench. And then we have, they just have so much. And the only thing that's going to hurt them if someone gets hurt and they do play a lot of one-on-one basketball, and they need to fix that coming up. They need to figure that out with this Boston Celtics series or in practices coming up because they're going to have a long time laying off because they're going to play the winner of the Hawks Knicks, who are going to go 7 games, and that's going to drag on for another week. So as long as they stay healthy, I could see the 76ers giving them hell on the inside with Joel Embiid. I can see that. But I just don't think the 76ers can score enough to hang with the Brooklyn Nets. I really can't. I mean, Boston held them to 107 points, and they still lost. I mean, this team is just too good. They're only going to get better as the playoffs go on. They're going to get more in sync. The chemistry is going to be a lot better. I think they're the team to beat. That's just me. But I honestly think this team is better than a Miami Heat team with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh.
Okay, well, so I agree with you right now that the Nets are definitely going to be the team to beat. But what's funny about it is when you think about this, right now the Bucks are basically going to sweep the Heat. Like that series is pretty much over. So do you think that the Nets right now should be concerned about the Bucks? And I know when it comes down to it, Giannis is pretty much the same way. Like he ends up either getting hurt in the playoffs or ends up choking in the playoffs or whatever. That's the big thing going on. So right now people are saying, is it going to be Nets Bucks? Is it going to be Nets 76ers? Well, at this point, I would have to go with the Nets and 76ers on that side in the conference championship, because I feel like the Bucks are not going to get there again. They're not going to. I think that somehow the Bucks are going to end up losing. The 76ers this year has actually surprised me with how good that they've actually played. But the Nets do not need to be concerned at all. If you ask me, they don't need to be, because the Nets are too good. They're too stacked. And I hate that you said Blake Griffin. And the reason why I said you hate Blake Griffin is because I have such a grudge against that guy. I cannot stand Blake Griffin.
I understand why that's personal. It's personal with you.
Yeah, very personal. Very personal with Blake Griffin. So I never liked that guy. However, is he going to be that great bench player for the Nets? Absolutely. He's going to be somebody that can come in off the bench, help the Nets. The Nets are pretty deep, because if you try and stop a James Harden, okay, you still have a Kevin Durant. You stop a Kevin Durant, you still have a Kyrie. So you're loaded pretty much everywhere you go around this team. And that's what's so scary about the Nets. And I know the Nets, I think, can actually win it all. Instead, not just making it to the championship, but they can actually win it all. They could beat this Lakers team. I'm telling you, if the Lakers they can beat this Lakers team. They can. The Nets are deep. So right now, who are you going to say that the Nets are going to face? Not in the NBA championship, but just in the.
Well, I mean, it has to be 76ers. And I feel so bad for the Milwaukee Bucks, because I feel like this Milwaukee's Bucks team is better than the last couple of years. But the reason is they got the number 3 seed, right? If they would have got the number 4 seed, they would play the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think I would have picked the Bucks over the 76ers in that series.
All right, so
I will.
we have a few comments right now. So Brandon Herrera is saying, "What's up, guys? Wolves in 2022."
Oh, good
Um,
God.
the Wolves are
No.
a ways
hope
out. Okay,
Let's hope
Wolves
Alex
are-
Rodriguez can bring some magic to that ownership.
Yeah, but the Wolves are still a ways out. They're kind of like my Pistons. We have no hope at this point in time. So the Wolves and the Pistons are right there. There's no hope. And then you have Tim Fielder that's saying Jimmy Butler is like James Harden. He can't win a ring. Okay, but let me tell you this. Last year in the finals, when it was Miami Heat and the LA Lakers, the Miami Heat were kind of banged up. Because
they were.
Dragic was out and Adebayo. And so they were kind of banged up. Had those two played, it could have made a difference. It could have. Now, would the Heat have won? I don't know, but it definitely would have helped them.
I think it would at least on 6 or 7 easily.
Oh, definitely. And then Tim Fielder is also saying Team LeBron, not Lakers. Come on. I mean, technically, I guess he's accurate. It is Team LeBron when you talk about it. It's
no. It's
no.
not.
That's
It's
what
not.
people talk about, though. You know, they mention it's Team LeBron.
No, it's Team LeBron when they win. When they lose, it's Anthony Davis's fault, right? It's someone else's fault. It's never LeBron.
No, it'll never be LeBron's fault. No matter how bad he plays. LeBron could come out and score 4 points, and Anthony Davis could score 20, and the Lakers would lose, and everybody would be like, Davis has to do better. Really?
Yep.
Really? LeBron scored 4, and you're going to sit there and tell me that Anthony Davis has to do better. It's like we talked about that first game when Anthony Davis scored 13, but LeBron only scored 18, and all of a sudden it was Davis's fault when LeBron scored under 20. You got to be freaking kidding me. That is crazy. But I don't want to go too far off topic because it's a huge rant, and I cannot wait for that rant at the end. That's right. Because Trey's going to go off on his nice little rant at the end, and I cannot wait for it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome.
Well, going back to that Brooklyn thing real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I kind of hope the Knicks beat the Hawks, right? Just because if the Hawks win, they don't have a chance against the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not saying the Knicks do either.
The Knicks don't even have a chance.
No, but what I'm saying is you have that in-city rivalry, right? It has something more to it. They can get a game or two, possibly a game or two. I don't think the Hawks can get a game. That's where I'm trying to get at. So I think the Nets getting the number 2 seed is actually going to have an easier road than the Philadelphia 76ers. No, wait, Philadelphia. I'm sorry. Philadelphia's playing. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
But if the Knicks also won too, you got to think about it. It kind of be one of those feel-good stories. When you really, really think about it, it'd be a feel-good story. Because right now people are excited that the Knicks, it's a crazy NBA season when the New York Knicks made the playoffs. But the Knicks went out and they made the right moves. And I'll tell you what, Randall, oh my gosh, he was having a phenomenal year. Like a great year. And right now I say it's Julius Randall's world, and we just live in it as we see it right now. That's how much he has helped this Knicks team. But even when the Knicks went out and traded for Derrick Rose, they got that veteran presence off the bench that's going to be big help for the New York Knicks. But I completely agree with you on that. I want to see Nets-Knicks. I would love to.
You're not going to because they forgot they're playing Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is going to win both those games. It doesn't matter because of Nets. It's going to be Nets and Bucks next round. I was hoping the Nets would have got the number 1 seed.
But Nets Bucks may not be too bad. The Bucks might be able to sneak a game in there or two, maybe. Well,
it comes down to Chris Middleton, right? What Chris Middleton are you going to get? You're going to get this Chris Middleton in the series, who's going to score. Help Giannis, or are you going to? But what helped the Bucks is getting PJ Tucker in the defensive side and all these. They shortened their bench, but it's been better, right? So now they're a little better on the defensive end, and they've been the highest scoring team in the league as well. So I could see it, but I just don't trust the Bucks. Until they get there, I just don't trust them. I mean, I just don't see anyone beating this Nets team. Yeah, the Bucks might get 2 games, but I just think it's the Nets conference to lose at this point.
No, but one thing because you're talking about how much the Bucks can score. Yeah, they can put up a ton of points. And one thing that that the Nets have struggled with is defensively. If you look at the regular season defensively, the Nets averaged on the defensive side, it was like 118 to 120 a game. Like they struggled mightily on the defensive side. But on the offensive side, the Nets were just putting up an ungodly amount of points. So
but you also got to remember they didn't have their full team intact either. So you don't know.
No, they did not.
But if this Boston Celtics, I know it's the Boston Celtics. I keep harping on that. This ain't the same Boston Celtics as it has been the last 3 who made the conference finals for the last 5 years. But they've shown they can play defense. Kyrie Irving, when he's locked in on he can steal balls better than anybody else. Kevin Durant was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year when he was in Golden State. James Harden, I don't really care. He's never going to play defense. Whatever. But
Celtics are done. Celtics are done. Put a fork in them. They are done.
I agree with you. I hate it too because I love Jason Tatum, I love Brad Stevens, and I love that team. But they just didn't. When they had the chance to go out and get players, they didn't do it. They didn't make that big. They made great offseason moves, but they didn't make that one big move that they needed to in the offseason. Besides Gordon Hayward, if you want to talk that, but
Well, no, but you're saying that the Celtics have a good defense. I agree with you on that, but they don't have a good enough defense to stop this Nets team that they're about to get swept by.
No, but if they had Jaylen Brown, it would have been a lot closer games than what I believe, because Jaylen Brown's a great two-way player. He's losing that, and then you're probably losing Tatum too for a little bit with his eye injury. The Celtics are done. I agree with you 100%, but I just don't. Even with the Milwaukee, I think it'll be interesting. I think the games will be close, but I think the Nets pedigree and having Kevin Durant winning 2 titles and Kyrie Irving winning 1 and James Harden being so close, I just think that I just don't see anyone being the Nets. I'm sorry. That's going to offend a lot of people on the other side, but everyone knows who I'm talking about.
So since we're on this Nets topic, something else just popped in my head because we're talking about all these rings, that Kevin Durant has a couple and then Irving has 1 and James Harden has been close. So here's my question. Let's say that the Nets come out this year and actually win the NBA title. Let's say they come out and win it. James Harden gets his first ring. Kevin Durant would get his third. Kyrie would get his second. At this point, would everybody stop to talk about James Harden choking in the playoffs? Or would they be like, well, no, we got to keep talking because he had to join a super team in order to win that championship?
Well, it's going to be the LeBron James effect, right? It's going to be you're going to have people who love James Harden, like, see, told you he can win if he just had teammates, right? And then you're going to have other people on the side say, oh, he had to join a super team to do it. He couldn't stick with one team and do it, or whatever the case may be. Depends on who you are. But I think it depends on how he plays, too, because it wasn't that his teams didn't. Remember, Chris Paul, when he was on the Rockets, took that Kevin Durant Warrior team. Probably should have won, be honest with you. Probably should have won that series. James Harden was non-existent in Game 6 and 7. Chris Paul carried that team to Game 6, and he got injured in Game 5. And then 6 and 7, they missed 25 straight three-point shots, and I think James Harden was capable of like 10 of those missed shots, right? So it all depends on how he plays. If they win the championship and he averages a triple-double and blah, 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 which is very easily on this team because everyone on that team can score. I hope he can get a triple-double. And he plays really well, and he doesn't choke. But if he has like 18, 16 points a game, and 7, 8, 9 assists and 2 rebounds a game, then yeah, you can say, oh yeah. But if he's an MVP, which I don't think he's going to be, he's going to be Kevin Durant for all the reasons in the world. But if he gets MVP or has a strong case for Finals MVP, then I think you can put all the dollars to bed and be like, okay, the choke label is off of him.
Because the thing is, when you look at James Harden this year, once he got to the Nets, he actually did not have to basically carry the team on his back. He didn't have to. There was games where he was only scoring 18 points, and that was because when Kevin Durant and Kyrie was out there, he had the teammates to help him out. And he didn't have to score all those points. But then when Kyrie was out and Kevin Durant was out, he had to carry the team on his back end, and he was able to do that. He kept the Nets winning all by himself again. And so James Harden is capable of doing it.
In the regular season, right?
Yes, in the regular season.
Right. So that's why he's got to carry to the postseason.
Mhm.
And that's what I think has to do on how he plays the games, right? Like I just think if he has a mediocre and like, oh yeah, he had to have the two other superstars, I help him. But if he doesn't, if he has these like the same numbers that he was carrying in the playoffs last year and the year before, and 33, 37 points per game, 10 assists, and averaging a triple double, then heck yeah, everyone will be like, all right, the choke label's off, whatever. And a lot of these players have to go places to learn how to win because say what you want to about James Harden. He liked it in Houston, but his management's kind of screwed him over a little bit.
Mhm.
They weren't giving the players that he want. I mean, not trying to sound condescending or anything, but I just think they weren't giving him the right pieces to help him win. They brought him 2 point guards, which Chris Paul was a help. Don't get me wrong. Chris Paul helped him.
And Westbrook. But
Westbrook wasn't the same player as Chris Paul, right? Westbrook
no, definitely
can't
not.
shoot.
Definitely not.
So, but they needed another big man. They needed another scorer. Westbrook wasn't a scorer. They needed another guy on the outside. They needed someone else to create their own shots, and that's where Chris Paul came in. And Russell Westbrook, if he ain't making layups, he can't shoot a 3-pointer or anything. He just has a pogo shot, whatever you call it. He just can't make them. He's a great passer, averages a triple-double. I love that his heart. I love everything about Russell Westbrook except for his cryiness after a game. But other than that, he just wasn't a great fit for what the Houston organization was doing, and they just didn't give James Harden the right pieces for that. So that's why I think James Harden has to go out and see how to win, and then after that, go to a team and see if he can carry him to a champ. I think that's where the James Harden legacy is going to, because he ain't going to stay in Brooklyn. This top three is not going to stay together for more than 3 years.
Yeah, and the thing is now, it's like you're saying, James Harden actually has some big men on his team. When he was with Houston, he didn't have those big men. They tried to play a lot of the small ball, fast pace up and down, which when you go up against big men, you can't do that because the big men can dominate the glass. They can dominate you inside. They can dominate you in the paint. And that's why the Rockets struggled so much. But now James Harden is on that team that he's got all those pieces.
Right. But I mean, you can do that. I mean, you can play small ball, just like what they're trying to do with the Warriors. They're complicating the Warriors, right? But you need a Draymond Green kind of center attitude. Say what you want to about Draymond Green, but he can defend those big men. He gets underneath them. Gets under. That's who you need. There's not a lot of Draymond Greens in the league like that. And Clint Capella, he's 7 foot tall, but he wasn't what the Rockets needed. So you can go small ball, but you have to have that Draymond Green kind of a center, great defensive mind, because you got to outthink these tougher, bigger guys, taller guys. I mean, you saw what Draymond Green did against Anthony Davis in the play-in game.
Clint Capella, though, is a rebound machine. That dude is an absolute rebound machine.
But he can't do anything else to help that team.
No, he can't, besides rebound. But people also always said that about Dennis Rodman, though, too. The greatest rebounder in the history of NBA.
But then he went to the team that didn't need him to score, right? He went to the team that already had him. So that's exactly.
But the Hawks do need Clint Capella to score because they need him more than just a rebounder. But Clint Capella can't do that because he's just a rebounder.
Yep. You're exactly right, Adam.
All right, so now we'll go into our next topic, which is we talked about the Utah Jazz. We talked about how without Murray, this team's like they're done. But anyways, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. My apologies. But anyways, so we're going to talk about the Jazz. And do you actually think that the Grizzlies can actually upset the Jazz with the way that Ja Morant's playing? That dude is like he's becoming a superstar in the making. Like right now, he's playing magnificent in the playoffs. He's trying to carry this Grizzlies team on his back, but I don't think that they will actually knock off the Jazz, but they're going to give them a run.
Man, I don't know. It depends. Oh my God. See, I go back and forth all day. I get going back and forth on this one all day.
Yeah, but think about game one, though, too. Think about game one. A lot of people were coming out saying, would the Grizzlies have won the game if Donovan Mitchell would have played in the first game? Would the Grizzlies have won?
Well, I think they would have because Donovan Mitchell wasn't really the key aspect in that. It was what's his name from Oregon? Dylan Brooks, right? He helped Ja Morant where he needed in game 2. He didn't get that help. John Morant had to score over 40 points to keep him even close to 12 points. And I knew Utah was going to. Let's face the fact. Utah had a week off, whatever, and the Grizzlies have been in playoff mode for like the last 3 weeks, trying to get in that play-in tournament, then during that single elimination tournament, being the Warriors, being the Spurs, and to earn that 8 seed. So I kind of picked them to win game 1. Game 2, when I knew Donovan Mitchell was coming back on, I was like, Jazz got this one. I think the Grizzlies let their guard down, like, all right, finally we can breathe because we're in the tournament. We have a game. We really don't need this game. But this Grizzly team, man, they play hard. They play great defense. They're underestimated on the defensive end. Mitchell's going to need help. Jordan Clarkson's, I think, is going to be the X factor in this series. If Jordan Clarkson isn't scoring, being the 6th man of the year player that he is, or Ingles, he needs some help because if they're not hitting threes, the Utah Jazz are useless, right? So I just think that if Grizzlies win game 3, I think Grizzlies have a fair shot at taking the 7 and pulling off an upset. But if Grizzlies lose game 3 at home, Utah's going to win this. But I think it's going to be a tight series throughout. Like the whole Western Conference, I think it's going to be a hot, tight conference all the way around. Yeah, you look at it. Besides the Lakers, or not the Lakers, the Clippers and the Mavericks. The West is just so tight. I think there was like between 1 and 4, there's like only 3 games that separate all these teams. They're so evenly matched and so good. So I just think the Grizzlies playing hard, but I think they're young. I think they'll lose in 6 games to the Utah Jazz.
They are young. They're hungry, but I don't think they have enough to get it done against the Utah Jazz. Now, I know you're saying that Donovan Mitchell being out in the big game wasn't really a big factor, but to me, it kind of was because I feel like Donovan Mitchell is kind of an X factor. He is. He is,
but I just think that I think it was a rest versus rust effect, right? I think that the Grizzlies were riding high, and I think they came in with a purpose to steal game 1, and they got that game. And even with Donovan Mitchell playing, I think they would have won that game. That's just my belief. But I still think they'll still win the series. I think with Donovan, the Utah Jazz are a better team. I just think that the Grizzlies are just going to give them more hell than what they expected. But I just think, even with Mitchell, I just think that the Grizzlies were just riding way too high, and I think that they've been playing these playoff modes, and the Jazz have been sitting back kind of relaxing after they found out that they're number 1 overall seed. I just think that even with Mitchell, I think that everyone would have just relaxed a little bit, and the Grizzlies still would have won that game. Probably would have been closer, but I still think that the Grizzlies would have won that game.
The Utah Jazz cannot lose this series because I'll tell you, if they lose the series, this is going to be horrible on them. You come in as the number 1 seed, and then you have a play-in game, which I understand that the Grizzlies came in and won two play-in games. They came in and won, ended up going to the first round and having to play the Jazz. So they were already in playoff mode because of that. But still, you cannot lose to this young Grizzlies team. You just can't. It's going to be a bad look for the Utah Jazz if they lose this one, especially with how good the Jazz were in the regular season. Because they had 2 times to where they went on winning streaks of 13-plus games. So if you go on 2 streaks of 13-plus winning streaks and then you come in the playoffs and you lose like that, man, I would hate to be the Utah Jazz.
Yes, but they live in a small market, right? They kind of like the San Antonio Spurs effect, right? Like they're still going to be the darlings or whatever the case. Like great season, blah 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 blah. But yeah, you're right. Being the best record, I think this is the first time since maybe the first time ever they've been the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference. Besides the Stockton Malone eras, I don't know if they were actually the number 1 seed or not, but. Yeah, the pressure's on them to get past this Grizzlies team, and I just think that they've got a bad – I think they've honestly faced the Warriors more than the Grizzlies because the Grizzlies play hard all the freaking time. They never give up. Yeah, you'll give up. Like they'll be up by 14, and in a blink of an eye, they're back down to within 1 point. They just never give up, and that's what you hate. You just like they feel like they're never out of a game. But I still think the Jazz are going to win this series. Now, would I be upset if Memphis wins this series? Heck no. because I really don't care for the Utah Jazz. But I love Donovan Mitchell. But I just don't care for anything about that Jazz. I don't hate them. I don't love them. But the Grizzlies would be a better feel-good story from everything they've been going through, from the grindhouse to now this Fast and Furious team with Dylan Brooks, John Morant, and everything like that. I think for me personally, just be a better story if the Grizzlies made it. But then it'll be an even better story if the Jazz didn't make it, because then we'll be talking, is Jonathan Mitchell going to leave Utah? Stuff like that. Drama in the NBA, right? So, but I think it's all wishful hoping, and I think that the Utah Jazz are going to win this series in 6. I just think the games are going to be closer.
So Davis Barza has a question. It said, what would be worse, the Jazz losing to the Grizz or when number 1 Seattle Sonics lost to the Nuggets?
When the Sonics lost to the Nuggets.
Okay, so besides the Sonics losing to the Nuggets, also think about
the Mavericks Warriors.
Yeah, I was going to say, come out and think about when Baron Davis played for the Warriors and his Warriors team came out and beat the Mavericks, the number 1 seed. That was horrible, because that Mavericks team they were really good. They were loaded. And so everybody thought that the Warriors were going to come out and get swept. And it didn't happen.
Well, yeah, they had they had Dirk Nowitzki MVP year, right? Mm-hmm. And they had over 60 wins with Don Nelson.
And then the Warriors came out and they beat him in 6 games. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're going to lose in 6 games when you were that good in the regular season. So
it's all about matchups. So I think that was the worst one. But the Memphis Grizzlies losing to this, because the Grizzlies aren't really truly a number 8 seed, right? I mean, they easily could have been, if they would have played a full 82 games, they could have easily jumped up to the number 7 seed.
It's possible.
They could. Look how stacked they were from 1 through 10 this year. They were like within 6 games of each other. If you went to the Western or the Eastern Conference, they would have been a higher seed.
Yeah, and Morant was playing a lot better at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. Morant started catching fire at the end, and then once they got in those playoff games, it was a heck of a lot better. So maybe. I mean, you could definitely be right on that they definitely could have got to maybe the 6 to 7 seed. You never know. So they might have even caught the Lakers, and they might have surpassed the Lakers and put the Lakers back a little bit more.
No, the Lakers would have got the 5th seed or the 4th seed. They would have won 82 games. That's whatever.
Oh yeah, come on, Trey. Come on.
I'm just saying what a Laker fan would say. If we had a full 82
game,
we had a full 82 games, we could have been right, and we could have been the number 3.
Right.
Sorry, Laker fans. I'm actually a Laker fan. I'm just delusional.
Well, so speaking of Lakers fans and speaking of LeBron, that brings us to our last topic of the night, which we call Trey's rant. That's our last topic. So that's right. Each week, Trey's going to have his own little rant. He can rant on whatever he wants. And this is going to be this week. So, Trey, what is your rant this week going to be on?
Oh, man. We touched on it. Oh, man. If we would have done this show on Monday night or Tuesday night, Wednesday, I could have done a whole hour on this. But, man, the hot topic is pretty boy, can't touch me, crybaby, poor LeBron James, right? Adam, tell me how big LeBron James is.
How big? Are you talking about like tall or what?
How his height and weight? 6'8", 250?
Yeah, he's like 6'8", 6'9".
What's Chris Paul?
Chris Paul, he's short. He's like 5'6", 5'7", or something like he's small.
I think he's like 6 foot, 6'1", something like that. But he gives over probably about 40, 50, 60 pounds to LeBron James easily, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me how this little guy can pull this heavy dude. Heavy, I mean, muscular LeBron James, athletic, who plays both ways, football, basketball, can all this great athlete, dude. Pull him to the ground and act like his arms tore off and everything like that, and cry like a little baby that he is. And then and what's funny is there was a scuffle right after that, and he found out no one was paying attention to me. So what does he do? He gets up. He goes right where the scuffle was so everyone can look at him and throws a big old hit. And that's just one of the many reasons I don't like LeBron James. People tell me that he can play in the 80s and 90s and be better than Michael Jordan. Give me a break. Michael Jordan literally got punched in the face, bullied, pushed to the floor, nutted in the crotch every single night, held like Steph Curry every single night. If you even do that to LeBron, if you even blow on this guy's crown, the king's crown, it's a foul. And I'm just so sick of this league. Like, and that's not even the thing I hate about LeBron James, because everyone in the league flops now, and it's a big scandal in that itself. But what I hate is how the NBA has no kahunas, no balls to suspend this guy. This guy went out, safety and health protocol. You cannot go to an event. They didn't say outside or inside. You cannot go to an event that it could be a COVID spreader. He went to a red carpet event. Same thing that LeVert did for the Indiana Pacers did, who was vaccinated, by the way, tested positive, had no effects, no nothing. He just tested positive. He got suspended he didn't get suspended. He had to sit out for 14 days. LeBron James, oh no, we can't have our superstar in the league, right?
But think about Karis LeVert, though. He also did have to miss both of the play-in games.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. LeBron James would have had to miss that play-in game against the Warriors. He would have had to miss this first series, probably the first week of this Phoenix series. NBA has no kahunas. LeBron James, no one cares what you think. No one cares what you say. No one cares, blah, 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 blah. As Laura Ingram said, shut up and dribble. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because, yeah, you should have a voice. You not should have a voice, but you shouldn't downgrade the people who disagree with you. That's what I'm trying to get at. Have respect for other people's beliefs, please. Because you're right, just because you play basketball and just because you think you dribble a ball, and yes, you do a lot of good. You do a lot of good for the community, for the kids, getting these people who don't have scholarships. You do a lot of great stuff. But then you go and ramble off about all this stuff that you have no business you don't even get the full 100% facts about. We don't want to listen, not even to LeBron James, to these NBA players. I'm just tired of this concept of LeBron James. We have to listen to LeBron, just like the headline today. We have to listen to LeBron James wasn't happy with the fan conduct. Who cares about what LeBron James thinks? Why not other players? It says LeBron James and other NBA players. I'm sorry, I thought NBA players carried this league, not just LeBron James. And I got news for you, LA Laker fans and Los Angeles LeBron James wannabe who y'all hated LeBron James, by the way, when he went to Miami. I'm going to hit on y'all too. This ain't just LeBron James segment hate me. This is going to be a Laker hatred and LeBron James fandom hating. Father Time is undefeated, and you're seeing it this year. Father Time, it doesn't take 1 year. You're seeing it consistently. Everyone's talking about LeBron James. He has an ankle sprain. That's not Father Time. This is how Father Time does his thing. LeBron James has an ankle sprain. LeBron James has been hurt this year. LeBron James has missed a lot of games this year. LeBron James isn't scoring in the high debt that he used to be. LeBron James only scored 23 points and 18 points in the first game. He's not barely averaging over 20 points a game in this series in 2 games. But you're telling me LeBron James is the greatest player of all time, right? You're telling me that LeBron James can carry this team to greater heights. Then why are you throwing Anthony Davis on the bus? Why is he throwing all these other players on the bus whenever he was full? Adam hit on this perfectly earlier. He had a crappy game. No one talked about him. It's either his team if they win and other people's fault they lose this. It's always LeBron James's team, right? So LeBron James, I'm just tired of your mouth. Just shut up, play the game. No one cares about what you think. Yes, we know you do a lot of good, but for the love of God, just stop talking about politics and everything else that's going on in the world that affects other people's life. And you say it's just a game, but yet you take everything more seriously than a game, and you flip and flop more than anybody in the freaking league. And I'm just sick and tired of it. We posted a picture the other day where this Mets pitcher gets hit by a fastball, 97-mile fastball, 38 seconds, he's on the ground. You get poked in the eye and say you can't see, and you have to get fake. You are on the ground for almost a minute. That is ridiculous. And then another guy who tore his ACL was only down for the ground for 40 seconds, and you were still on the ground. Chris Paul pulled his shoulder out of socket, heard something crack, got up faster than you did whenever he supposedly pulled your arm out and whatever, and you just lay there and cry like a little baby. And may I remind you that you also, during the Heat Spurs series, the heaters or the AC went out and you cramped up and everyone had to carry you and hold you and carry you to the locker room. Don't want to hear any of this motion that you're the greatest of all time. You're not. You're not going to step shoes in Michael Jordan shoes, because this Michael Jordan could play in 80s, 90s. He's proven it, and he could play in today's generation. Michael Jordan played in today's generation. He would easily score more points than whatever you can consider. You don't play defense anymore. You don't do anything. You just need to focus on your game. Yes, you're a great basketball player. Yeah, you're probably top 5 of all time, but yet you're never going to be the GOAT. Stop talking about being the GOAT. You know who doesn't talk about being the GOAT? Kobe. MJ. They never call themselves the GOAT. They just try to get better. But yet you claim yourself the GOAT. No one cares. No one watches. You're the reason the NBA is down. And I'm saying this, NBA is down, 40% this year in viewerships? ESPN won't tell you that. Other places won't tell you. But if you read, they say, oh, viewership's up. No, they're not. They're down because of LeBron James and his antics and everything else, and everyone's tired of it. NBA needs to step in and do something about it because their viewership is going down. It's taking a hard hit.
So right before we go ahead and call it a show, because it's at that time, we're at that hour mark. I don't know if you read the comment that somebody had left when I was talking about how much crap and the double standard it was because of Porzingis was also fine. But somebody actually came in and actually left a comment that had said, look, they didn't do it because LeBron James is the face of the NBA.
No, he's not.
And they go, and they're catering to him. And then the person said, he sells a ticket. So the NBA is doing what is right and what they should rightfully do, which is not suspend a man of his stature because he means so much. And I'm like, that is ridiculous, dude. That's where the double standard comes from.
Right. And I hate to say this, he ain't the face of the league anymore. He's not. This game, I guarantee you, if you take LeBron James off the playoff,
it's still good.
Go up. Viewerships will go up. Because you know why? You have Trae Young. You have John Morant. You have Luka Doncic. You have all these young – you have Jason Tatum. You have all these young, great stars who are fun to watch. They don't cry and complain. They all cry and complain. I'm not getting that twisted. But they don't flop around like a dead fish like LeBron James does. And can I say something else real quick? Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all heard. Did y'all hear about that cop who got suspended because he made a TikTok about LeBron James asking if it's all right for him to go arrest these people with the knife or whatever stuff? He got fired today. Tell me why. But LeBron James can purposely post a picture of a white cop, right? A white cop who had nothing to do with any of that knife stabbing and say, you're next. How come he doesn't get punished? Tell me where how come that's not right? You're talking about you want integrity of the league, right? You want to uphold racism. How is that not racism? How is that not? When the cop did exactly what he was supposed to do and video cameras showed it. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to start a race war, but he threatened an officer. He threatened people. How come he isn't getting in trouble or fined or anything like that? That's where a lot of people are having issues with the NBA right now.
I completely agree. And so that was the only reason I brought up what that whole comment was, where the person said, you know what, the NBA did what was right and what they should have done. No, that is completely not accurate. If you're going to suspend one and fine one, you need to suspend the other and fine the other. Because you can't do the double standard.
Well, and so I'm not going to, everyone knows who this name is or whatever, but if you want to go read the comments, I'm not going to put his name out there, but he knows who he is. Saying that, Kobe and MJ would have, they got away with it too. Kobe and MJ never broke the rules like that. Kobe, in fact, the team suspended Michael Jordan for breaking team rules.
They did.
Kobe got suspended for doing something that he did. I'm just saying he got fined. LeBron James has never done he never got anything. And it's ridiculous. Because want to know why? Because I'm just going to shut up because it's politics. I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to piss people off.
No, it's fine. But anyway.
But saying all that, I honestly think if you just put all that aside, and everyone asks me, how do you watch this right now when viewerships are down and everything like that? Because I put it all aside, right? It's hard for me. I just put it aside and I don't let them to me, it's just a game. I'm watching them play a game that I would love doing for $50,000. I'll probably do it for free, playing on the big stages like that, but yet they're whining like little babies when popcorn's thrown on their head, but that's just another story for another day. I just put all that aside. I don't watch it for the politics. I don't listen to whatever people are like, yeah, I'm a Steph Curry guy. I love Steph Curry. And he doesn't agree with everything I agree with. But you know what? I like Steph Curry because he doesn't put us on notice, right? He doesn't call us out. He doesn't make us feel bad for what we believe. And he doesn't bring other things into his game. He lets basketball be bad, and then he goes home to his life. That's what I like. And I mean, I'm just going to shut up from there, but you just got to put all the politics inside and just watch, because they are great athletes. This is the greatest game. I think it's one of the greatest games in the world. And I think it's just fun. If you just put it, I know it's hard to say, just put it all aside. After the game's over, just turn the game off, go to bed, and to be done with it. Don't watch SportsCenter. Don't watch anything. Watch us on the Coast to Coast because we'll have you covered and bring you full facts. But just that's it. If you have any information, if you do love basketball, because the NBA playoffs are one of the best things in the world. Just I know it's hard to watch because the double standard, like aces, it's hard. It's hard for me too, but just try to put it beside and just turn the game off as soon as the game's over and just enjoy the games.
All right.
And
Thank you very much, Trey.
And Anthony Davis is kind of limping right now.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your rant. I've been waiting all day for that rant because I knew that Trey's rant was coming, and I could not wait for it. So with that, do you have any final remaining thoughts that you want to throw out there? I'll give you about 30 to 45 seconds on anything you want to say.
Oh man, no, just honestly, it's just about me. I mean, I've been on a hiatus for a while. I've been doing a lot of things, and I'm just so privileged to be on this coast. I'm telling y'all, watch Coast to Coast. They have you covered with everything. It's amazing. I'm just glad to be a part of it. I'm glad they Adam Ace messaged me and asked me to bring on Will, all the other Brandon, even though you don't like me right now for whatever reason. But I appreciate y'all bringing me on, giving me this opportunity to use my platform and my voice, and giving me us a show that we can talk about and hopefully bring you enjoyment every Thursday night. And
Absolutely.
Probably Tuesday night with me on baseball. I need to talk to Tim on that one. Tim and Brandon.
Yeah, they're waiting for you for the On Deck show. They want to see on that.
Brandon, Tim, if you're watching Tuesday night, I'll be ready, man. I'll be ready.
All right. We'll make sure that they know Tuesday night you're going to be ready. So, all right, Trey, thank you. And we are so glad to have you on Coast to Coast. We were super excited when I reached out to you and you accepted. I'm like, absolutely, Trey. We're going to welcome you on here, and then we're going to do our own show. I told you immediately. I was like, Trey, we're doing our own show, and I don't care if it's NBA because we're doing this.
Well, we can do anything, man. I love NBA. I love basketball. I love football. I mean, we do it all. I can cover everything except for hockey.
Absolutely.
Hockey is kind of hard for me.
Hey, it's fine. But to all of our viewers out there, thank you for very, very much for watching the first episode of Speak Out. And with that being said, we will see you guys tomorrow night. And I hope you guys have a fantastic night. Later.
Peace.